Great.
It's a Kodak moment. Where are you? New Orleans? Where are you?
Yes, yes, New Orleans.
Okay, New Orleans. Okay, they're lucky to have you. You bring some holiness to the town. There's not too many yeshivot in the town. There's no Sam school in the town. Honestly, I don't know. Maybe
It's
I don't
the
know
other
how.
way around. They're giving to me.
Okay, okay, yeah, Adam. Yes, yeah. Adam, Max is here saying hello.
Hello. Good to see you.
Good. Yes, same here. Thank you very much.
Greetings.
Greeting.
Hope everything's good and all.
Okay, lulav arava. Now we all know about the lulav mitzvah, taking the lulav with it, and now there's another mitzvah called arava. Now, what's that mitzvah arava? That's not the arava in our lulav. That arava is part of the mitzvah of lulav. Arava is the hoshanot that we're familiar with on Hoshana Rabbah. That we take the 5 willows, they're tied together, we bang them on the ground. That arava, that minhag that we have today, that we take aravot, hoshanot, on the 7th day of Sukkot, that's that's a remembrance, it's a zecher to the Mikdash. That in the Mikdash, in the Holy Temple, they would take the Kohanim, with Rashi writes here on the Mishnah, the Kohanim would take the arava, they would go around, they would walk around the Mizbeach, they would walk around the altar with these Hoshanot. Now let's understand what the aravot. What do the Sfardim call these hoshanot? They call it arava. They call it hoshanot. The Ashkenazim call them hoshanot. These aravot are definitely connected to the fact that the holiday of Sukkot we are judged on water. Different holidays have different judgments, and hoshanot, as we know, arvei nachal, they grow by. They grow by a brook. So therefore, obviously, by taking these hoshanot, by doing a mitzvah with them, it will serve as a merit for the Jewish community that Hashem should bless them with great, with good waters for the year. So the aravot, that mitzvah of taking the aravot, there is sometimes we will perform that 6 days of the holiday, and sometimes we will perform it for 7 days of the holiday. Sometimes on Shabbat, depending when Shabbat fell out, was whether they would take the Hoshanot on Shabbat or not. And we're going to see, and the same thing with the Lulav. The taking of the Lulav, sometimes the Lulav was 7 days, good morning, Simon, and sometimes the Lulav was 6 days. When would they take the Lulav? 7 days? If Shabbat came out, the first day of the holiday came out on Shabbat, in the time of the Beit HaMikdash, they would take the lulav every day, including Shabbat, if the first day of the holiday came out on Shabbat. And in the time of the Mikdash, they would take the Hoshanot every day, including Shabbat, if the 7th day came out on Shabbat. That's what we're going to see in the Mishnah. In practice, we know today we will not take the lulav and etrog, even if the first day comes out on Shabbat. We don't take the lulav and etrog. But the Mishnah is talking, but back in the Beit HaMikdash times, everybody, the Mishnah is talking about what they did in the Beit HaMikdash. So sometimes the lulav was taken 6 days, not on Shabbat, and sometimes it was taken on Shabbat. We're going to see if the first day came out on Shabbat, and Arava was taken in the Beit HaMikdash every day, except but every day, including Shabbat, if the 7th day came out on Shabbat. If the 7th day did not come on Shabbat, they did not take it on Shabbat. So we'll see, and that's the first statement of the Mishnah. The second statement of the Mishnah is Halel v'Simcha, the mitzvah of Halel, saying the whole Halel for 8 days of Sukkot. There's a mitzvah to say Hallel every day of Sukkot. Doesn't make a difference whether Shabbat comes out, first day, 7th day, you have a mitzvah to say Hallel all 8 days, meaning including Shmini Atzeret. You have you have the 7 days of Sukkot and Shmini Atzeret, and outside of Israel, we say Hallel for 9 days, full Hallel. On Simchat Torah, which is the 9th day of the Hallel, we say we have 2 days in the outside of Israel. Of the last days of the holiday are 2 days, so we get 9 days on the deal. So the mitzvah of Hallel is for 8 days, and the mitzvah of simcha, of, there's a mitzvah of samachta b'chagecha, to rejoice in the holiday. It's also for every day of the holiday, including Chol Hamoed. Everyone has to remember Pesach is coming, Bezat Hashem, and Chol Hamoed. There's a mitzvah. Not only the holiday itself, everyone rejoices and has great food and great simcha, but during Chol Hamoed, there's a mitzvah. I personally try to have a cup of wine every day of Chol Hamoed. Something to in honor of the Chol Hamoed. It's Yom Tov. You have, you must have better food. Some people wash on Chol Hamoed to increase in the simcha. But there's a concept of mitzvah of simcha on Chol Hamoed, and at the time of the Beit HaMikdash, the mitzvah to eat the simcha was done through meat, having the korban shlamim, eating the korban shlamim, and that's how you would get the mitzvah of simcha, through some good meat. Therefore, also, by the way, comes the holiday of Purim is coming. The Rambam says that you should have meat during the Purim meal. That should be on the menu, should be meat. I mean, I wonder if chicken, I don't know if chicken is not, I don't think chicken is the same level of meat. I'm not saying you can't fulfill the mitzvah with chicken, but I would think you're supposed to do a higher level of simcha on the menu. You can make a request of your wife, if she can make some meat in honor of the great festivities of Purim, the Simcha of Purim. Now, so that was the mitzvah for every day of the holiday, the mitzvah of Simcha. Sukkah v'nisach hamayim. The mitzvah of Sukkah, sitting in a Sukkah, and the mitzvah of pouring water on the mizbeach. Again, this is the only time of the year they had a mitzvah every day of the holiday. When they brought the morning korban, they had a mitzvah every day of the holiday to pour water on the mizbeach. That was only Sukkot. Why water? Like we said, the judge on water. You do a mitzvah. You pour the water on the mizbeach. That will serve as a blessing for the community, as a good marriage for the community. So the mitzvah of Sukkah is for 7 days, every day. It's not just we sit in the Sukkah the first night of the holiday. On the holiday, the Chol Hamoed, you have an obligation to sit in the Sukkah. If you're going to have bread on Chol Hamoed, you have a bread meal on Chol Hamoed, that bread meal must be in the Sukkah. You can't have a bread meal outside the Sukkah any time of the holiday. And technically, they would also, you have to sleep every day in the Sukkah. We have certain allowances why we don't sleep in the Sukkah. But really, the real law was to sleep in the Sukkah. It's only if it's difficult to sleep in the Sukkah, the climate is difficult. Those are some of the allowances that allow people to sleep outside the Sukkah. When I was one time in Israel for Sukkot, it seemed like the common custom there that everybody would sleep. At least in the yeshiva community, I saw everybody was sleeping in the Sukkah. And even today, even in New York, New Jersey, there are many people that sleep in the Sukkah, but it's less comfortable here in New York. But the mitzvah of Sukkah is every day of the holiday. So that's what the Mishnah says. It parallels the mitzvah of the Sukkah, 7 days, to the mitzvah of the pouring the water on the Mizbeach for 7 days. HaChalil, the mitzvah of Chalil, the Chalil is blowing the flute, right? Judaism has a lot of, music is part of Judaism. The Levium, the Beit HaMikdash, there was music. They were playing music. They had a whole band with harps and flutes, singers. So you had a whole choir going on. And the Rambam discusses it. Fascinating. One day maybe we'll take out the Rambam. We'll discuss the amazing choir that they had in the Beit HaMikdash. You're doing avodah. You're serving in the Beit HaMikdash. Korbanot offerings are being offered. It's b'simcha, with great happiness. We got to have the band, right? Right, Jaime. We got to have a band out there, a proper band. That's what it says that was the halacha. So when they would go ahead and they would draw the water, there was, it was not only they had the pouring of the water on the mizbeach, but there was a whole procession of simcha. When they drew the water, they would have, in honor of the drawing of the water, they would go ahead and have whole playing of flutes and harps, and those playing of flutes and harps that they would play and that was called the Simchat Beit HaShoeva. today we call some which you have Sukkot, you go to a Simchat Beit HaShoeva. It's a nice party, people get together, some new singing. Beit HaShoeva means the house of drawing. They drew the water. That's why it's called the Beit HaShoeva. In honor of the drawing of the water, they had this special celebration. So now, but on Yom Tov and on Shabbat, you will not play the flutes in honor of the drawing of the water. You will not play the harps. So sometimes you would have 5 days of the holiday you would be blowing the flute, and sometimes it would be 6 days of the holiday. What will be now? Because if the holiday, let's say, comes out on a Sunday, the holiday comes out on a Sunday, so the first day of the holiday is Sunday, and the 7th day of the holiday would be Shabbat, right? So the first day of the holiday you won't be blowing the flute because it's the holiday. You won't blow the flute on the holiday, and the 7th day of the holiday, which is Shabbat, you also won't blow the flute. So therefore, that year you would have 5 days of the flute. Well, let's say if the first day of the holiday comes out on Shabbat, so now you have Sunday through Friday, you have 6 days to go ahead and blow the flute of drawing the water. So that would be so sometimes you have 5 days, you got it right, Max? Sometimes you got 5 days of the flute, so on the harp, sometimes you got 6 days of the harp. Lula, now the mission now explains this halacha that we just had. And this, by the way, is very similar to the first Mishnah in Maseches Megillah. Purim is on the horizon coming up, where the Mishnah discusses, depending what time of when does the 14th of Adar come out, regarding different readings of the Megillah. So lulav shiva kesad. What is the case that you will have the lulav for 7 days? That every day of the holiday you'll take the lulav. So the Gemara Mishnah says the following: Yom Tov Harishon Shachag Shachal Liot B'Shabbat. If the first day of the holiday comes out on Shabbat, so then that will be the case. That will be Shiva. Then you'll have 7 days of lulav. Meaning to say, the Torah says Lakachtem Lachem Bayom Harishon. The Torah says you have an obligation to take the lulav on the first day. And the Torah's obligation for every Jew, wherever you are in the world, New Orleans as well, you have an obligation to take the lulav you have a biblical obligation on the first day of the holiday, even if it comes out on Shabbat. By the Beit HaMikdash, they had a mitzvah to take, if you're in the Beit HaMikdash area, you have a mitzvah every day of the holiday to take the lulav. So in the time of the Beit HaMikdash, since the biblical obligation applied both to every member of the Jewish community on a Torah level the first day, both by the Beit HaMikdash and outside the Beit HaMikdash, so then even if it came out on Shabbat, they did not make a Gezerah, they did not say that the first day comes out on Shabbat, you can't take the lulav unless someone might come carry the lulav. They obviously made sure you brought the lulav to shul before Shabbat. You made sure you wouldn't come to carry the lulav. And they kept the original obligation, the Torah obligation for everybody to take the lulav if the first day came out on Shabbat. However, when the first day did not come out on Shabbat, let's say the first day of Sukkot came out on a Wednesday, Shabbat now is a rabbinic, the third day of the holiday is a rabbinic, let's say, obligation to take it for in New Orleans or anywhere in the world, but the biblical obligation is only the first day of Sukkot for every member in the Jewish community, wherever they are. So then they enacted a decree, don't take the lulav on Shabbat. If the third day of Sukkot came on a Shabbat, if the second day, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh came on a Shabbat, no lulav on Shabbat that year. And the only time they would take lulav on Shabbat if the first day came on a Shabbat. So that's the case where you'll have all 7 days of lulav. But again, like we said, today's day we don't take the lulav even if the first day comes on a Shabbat. By the time of the Mikdash, they would take the lulav all 7 days if it came on Shabbat. Ushar kol hayomim, the Mishnah states, shisha. The other days they would take it only if it did not come out on the first day did not come out on Shabbat, then you would only take the lulav for 6 days. Now the Mishnah says, Arava shiva ketza. we said, when would you take sometimes you would take the Hoshanot, those 5 Aravot that are tied together, which is independent mitzvah of the lulav, like we said. They were Kohanim. This was a mitzvah that the Kohanim did. The Kohanim, not the average Jew, would take these Hoshanot and walk around the Mizbeach. Ketzad. When would they do it every day, including Shabbat? The Mishnah states, Yom HaShvi, by the way, I presume you're already on the, now we're going to the bottom of 42b2. Ketzad. Yom HaShvi shel HaRavah shechal liot b'Shabbat. If the 7th day of the holiday of Sukkot, Hoshana, we call that Hoshana Rabbah. If the 7th day of Sukkot comes down on Shabbat, that's when you'll take the Aravah on Shabbat. That's when Aravah b'Shiva. There's going to be something about the 7th day. We'll see the Gemara is going to explain why is it the 7th day, what's unique about the 7th day more than the first day. We understand by Lulav, the Torah says specifically, Lakachtem lachem b'yom harishon. By Lulav, the Torah says that the mitzvah of Lulav for every Jew, wherever they are in the world, is only the first day. So we see there's something unique about the first day when it comes to Lulav. What's unique about the 7th day of Sukkot, that's going to be the day we're going to take the Hoshana if it comes down on Shabbat. Every other day, if it's not the 7th day of Sukkot, the 7th day of Sukkot is not Shabbat. If the first day is Sukkot is Shabbat, the 2nd day is Shabbat, 3rd day is Shabbat, we're not going to take the Hoshana. The Kohanim will not take them and go around, even though there's a mitzvah for all 7 days. But if the first day, the only time they will take it on Shabbat, if the 7th day of Sukkot comes down on Shabbat. So we'll have to see.
What does that mean, Rabbi? It overrides the prohibition of Shabbat to take the Aravot?
Okay, so very good. The question would be, what's the issue? So let's say the concern, perhaps, we're going to have to see what is the concern. Because really, taking the Aravot itself, you're not violating the Shabbat on a Torah level by just walking around the Mizbeach with holding you walk with the Hoshanot in your hand. The question is there some rabbinic concern? Just like on Shabbat that we don't take the Lulav, we don't take the Lulav on Shabbat. Why don't we take the Lulav on Shabbat? On a Torah level, there's no problem. As long as you don't carry the Lulav in the street, you have no problem. So we don't take the Lulav on Shabbat because the rabbis are concerned to protect us, that if you take the Lulav on Shabbat, might you come to carry the Lulav? Might come to ask a rabbi a question on the Lulav on the Etrog. It's a rabbinic concern. So the question is, so there's obviously some rabbinic concern of why we don't take the Hoshanot on Shabbat if Shabbat is day 1, if Shabbat is either day
Any day
1,
but 7.
but day 7, right? So the Gemara is going to discuss what is the concern, because the Gemara is going to say, you just told me the Kohanim are the ones who are handling it, and the Kohanim are on top of their game. They're professionals.
Is there any potential melacha, like the leaves falling off or anything like that?
That doesn't seem to be the concern. And the Gemara is going to ask, are you concerned about carrying? Maybe they come to carry those shanot in the street. But the Gemara is going to say, but the Kohanim, they act with great alacrity, so you might not be so concerned about the carrying. So we have to see. The Gemara is going to discuss it's a concern. It's some issue. It's some rabbinic concern. Because if it would be a biblical issue, it shouldn't be a difference between the first day or the 7th day or any day. So it's all about, on a rabbinic level, they have some good reason. The rabbis have a good reason why they say you should not take it on the Shabbat unless the 7th day comes on Shabbat. And we'll have to see as the Gemara is going to work it through, discuss the what is the concern. Yes. Right. So that we'll see more. Also, it's called Chavatat Haravah. So right, that the Gemara is going to refer to it. The banging of the Haravah. So we'll have to look when we get to that Gemara to see more about that. Now the Mishnah continues. So again, so we said Haravah, we said Shiva Ketzad. How is it the 7 days? If Yom HaShvi shel Haravah Shechalit b'Shabbat is the 7th day of comes down to Shabbat, Haravah Shiva. That's when you would have 7 days. Ushar kol hayamim, but the rest of the day shisha. If the seventh day doesn't come out of Shabbat, then there's only 6 days of taking the Hoshana. Mitzvah lulav ketzad. What's the case? Mitzvah lulav ketzad. Now, what's the Gemara's question now? You already told me about lulav shiva. How do you go ahead and what do you do with the lulav when it comes out on Shabbat? If the first day comes out on Shabbat, you told me you'll take the lulav on Shabbat. But why? But what about how do you do that? You can't carry the lulav. So what do you do? So that's what the Mishnah now is going to explain. We're now on 42b3. Mitzvah lulav ketzad. How did they perform the mitzvah of lulav and etrog hadassim aravot on the holiday of Sukkot when the first day came out on Shabbat? How are you careful? How are people careful? You can't carry it to shul. You can't carry. Not every place has an eruv. Not every place in the world has an eruv. So how would they do it? So the Mishnah states, Molichin ketzad Yom Tov Rishon Shachag Shachal Liot b'Shabbat. The first day of the holiday that comes out on Shabbat, Molichin et lulaveim laharabayit. They would bring the lulav to the Temple Mount, to the Harabayit, before Shabbat. They would go ahead and bring it there before Shabbat. And what would they do? The chazanim and the people that were like the gabai, the people that were helping out the community. These are the people that the word chazanim, the Tosfot Yontif chazanim comes from the root word of choseh, to see. The job of a person working in a shul, like Haron, he sees what are the needs of the community. That's why they're called a chazan. Even though we know the chazanim, the one who leads the services, the one who leads the community in the singing and the davening and the prayers, he's called the chazan. But that's because he sees that's the needs of the community. In the Mishnah, when we refer to chazanim, we're not referring to people who are the one who leads the services, like Shmuel Halevi, like over here, that he's the chazan of the shul. We're talking about more like Aaron, the one who's Haron, who sees, right, Simon, the needs of the community. So the chazanim mikablim mehem. The chazanim, they received the lulav. They received the lulav from the people before Shabbat. V'sodrin otan al gabei itztaba, and they organized the lulavim. They put them they had stone benches that were by the Harabayit and that by the Temple Mount, and they went ahead and they would put these lulavim. They would arrange them orderly by this area. Vazakinim, and the elderly Jewish people who were afraid that they should not get stampeded. They were afraid they'll come tomorrow morning on Shabbat to get their lulav, and there's thousands of people waiting to pick up their lulav, and there's a concern of crowd control, which we saw Rahman al-Litzlan has so many times when so many people come together and everybody's trying to get something, it gets dangerous. So the elderly people, they did not leave their lulav over there by that area where the benches were and have thousands of lulavim organized and set up over there. They manichin es shelahem belishkat. There's different area, different storage area, which was designated for, and that was used for this purpose of storing their lulavim. And the Mishnah states, umelamdin otam. You're welcome, Michael. We are on 42b3. We just said that everybody would bring their lulav. You know what it's like? It sounds like similar like people do by Tisha B'Av. If Tisha B'Av comes down on Motzei Shabbat, Tisha B'Av comes down on Saturday night. People bring their sneakers to shul on Friday before Shabbat, so that when Shabbat is over, they have their sneakers already there, right? So here we go ahead and they brought their lulav and etrog before Shabbat on Friday, so they could have it for Shabbat. But now it's possible you might get the wrong lulav. I mean, you don't have such identification on your lulav. I mean, I don't know, maybe you could write your name on, make some siman on your lulav, that it's your lulav. But there's a big issue. Number one, if I take someone else's lulav, the question is that an issue of stealing? I'm not using it. Second question number two is that the first day the Torah says l'kachtem lachem. It has to belong to you. We spoke about that the lulav has to belong to you the first day of the holiday. So, and outside of Israel, we also the second day of the holiday also. So what do we do to ensure that I got my lulav? And I can't ensure that I got my lulav. So what do? So the Beis Din, the court, tells everybody an amazing thing. The court says the following: we tell the people, Loma, we say the people to say, everybody should say, anybody who got my lulav, if I don't have my back my lulav, I'm gifting you my lulav. Because I want it to belong to you. It has to belong to you. Just like if someone's going to borrow, no one could borrow my lulav on the first day of the holiday. If someone didn't come to shul with a lulav, I got to go ahead and what? Gift it to him on the holiday. I could gift it to him. He could gift it to me back. I could gift it to him with the condition. I could gift it to him with the condition he gives it back to me. But as long as he has it, it belongs to him. That also it's called a matana amanat lahazir. Giving him to him with the condition, I'm gifting it to you. It's yours during the duration, but you got to give it back to me. That's also called a gift. But I looked in the halacha. A shul etrog. A shul etrog also, you can't buy an etrog at partnership. It has to totally belong to you. The reason with the shul etrog is it also works like the idea that everybody who takes it should belong to him during that time of duration that he takes it. So,
Rabbi, I'm sorry if I missed it. What was the melacha that we were concerned that gets overridden on the seventh day?
Right, on the seventh day, the seventh day during Hoshanot, taking the Hoshanot, the 5 on the seventh day, the Mishnah did not tell us exactly what the concern of the other days are. So we have to wait. We have to stay tuned for the Gemara, because technically, what is the issue of taking the Hoshanot? What is the possible
violation?
concern?
The melacha, right? It has to violate a melacha because we're talking about Shabbat.
Right. It could be a malacha, or there could be something, some other issue that the Gemara is going to talk about. We'll have to see what the issue of the Hoshanot. The lulav is very clear. The lulav is clear that we're afraid you might come to carry the lulav. That's why we don't take the lulav on if Shabbat.
But we don't know yet what the Hoshanot concern is.
We don't know what the concern of the Hoshanot. Correct. At this point of the Mishnah did not clarify yet, and we don't know what the concern at this point is for the Hoshanot. Yes, we'll have to see when the Gemara is going to discuss the concern. But the concern for the lulav, that is an obvious concern. They might come to carry the lulav on Shabbat. And now the Gemara is saying that when the issue, when everybody comes to pick up their lulav on Shabbat morning, they dropped off their lulav on Friday, and there's a good chance they're not getting their lulav. So what do they need to do? They need to go ahead and say, anybody who received my lulav, I'm giving it to them as a matana. I'm gifting it to them, so therefore it belongs to them while they're using it.
Next day when he gets.
I presume then the next day when they take home their lulav, they're gonna have to, after Shabbat, they're gonna take home their lulav. So if I got mine, I got mine. If I didn't get, it looks like mine, but if it's not mine, you gifted mine to you, and I gift it to everybody. But you got a lulav. Everybody gifted to each other. So you got one on the deal. Everybody gets a lulav. Everyone's gonna have a lulav on the deal. Now, anybody who gets my lulav, it belongs to him as a gift. Now, the macha, the next day on Shabbat, mashkimim. Everybody would get up early because you got to pick up the lulav. It takes time to pick up the lulav. So you got to come. You get up early on the morning of the Shabbat of the Yom Tov, the first day of Sukkot. Uboim, you come to the Harabayit, you come to the Temple Mount. V'chazanim zorkin otam lefnehem. And they would, the language of the Gemara is that they would throw it in front of them. I mean, you know, they're like, maybe like that. And maybe we're talking to love are pretty strong and we're not afraid that the top is going to break. It's interesting, the language. Ve'hein mechatzin. And everybody would try to catch their lulav. They would try to get their lulav, right, Boaz? But you know what would happen? But everybody is trying to get their lulav. Umakin each as chavero. Someone could get hurt. Someone would get pushed. Someone would get, you go, that type of situation. We don't want anybody hitting somebody, even though you're hitting somebody unintentionally. But that's we don't want that. We don't want that happening. And also, it depends on how strong a person is. Person's not so strong, they could get hurt. And they can even come into danger. When the Bezdin saw that they came into danger, everybody's looking for the lulav and everybody's on top of each other. It could be a stampede over there. Hiskinu, they instituted shekol echad ve'echad noter lulav beito. You take your lulav in your house on Shabbat. You don't bring your lulav to the Harabayit before Shabbat, because if you bring it to the Harabayit and you have thousands of lulavim, but Harabayit, there's a concern that someone will get hurt if you bring it before Shabbat. So therefore, they said, take the lulav in your house. Okay. So now the Gemara says the following. Amai. Now, by the way, there's the end of the perek, the Mish, it's going to talk about a different scenario, that everybody would bring the lulav to the shul. Right here, the Mishnah discusses by the Beit HaMikdash area, everybody would bring their lulav where? To the Beit HaMikdash, to the Harabayit before Shabbat. But there's another Mishnah that says that everybody would bring their lulav where? To shul, to the synagogue before Shabbat. And then on Shabbat morning, everybody would come ahead and identify their lulav and take their lulav in from the shul. That Mishnah is talking about, when did they bring it to the shul? They brought it to the shul when you weren't by the Mikdash, when you weren't in the area of the Mikdash. You were in Bnei Brak, you were in Tel Aviv, or wherever you weren't by the Beit HaMikdash. So there you brought the lulav, right, Michael? They will bring the lulav to the shul before the Shabbat.
And they leave it on the benches.
Right, in the Beit HaMikdash, they left it on the benches.
Yeah.
Now, therefore, in the shul, they did not, and because there was not so many people in the shul, like they had in the Beit HaMikdash, everybody's easy. You can identify your lulav. You put your lulav in the shul in a certain place or whatever. It's easy to identify. They did not have to announce anybody who gets my lulav. But most people, when you leave a shul, you're able to identify which one is yours. So they did not have to make any public announcement. Anybody who goes ahead and finds my lulav, you could keep. I'm gifting it to you as a matana.
Lulav is gematria Chaim.
Yes, lulav is the gematria of Chaim. It's a beautiful gematria. I think I saw the Balaturim brings that, Michael.
Yeah, here he is. He's right here.
The lulav is the
Balaturim,
gematria of Chaim. You know what you could say? Why is lulav very beautiful? Why is lulav in the gematria of Chaim? Lulav is the gematria of life. So it could be, I would like to suggest, based on a midrash. There's a midrash that says that why did Hashem obligate us to take a lulav? Why lulav? Right? What did it say? Right, right. But there's a medrash that says that when a person would go to war and you would win a war, they would take a palm branch. It's a sign of what? It's a victory sign. Everybody would go with victory. So we coming out of Yom Kippur, and our mindset has to be emunah and bitachon that we won. We were successful. How do you like that, Max? We were successful on Yom Kippur, right, Adam? So this is the victory sign, Michael. So maybe that's why it's chayim. It's life. Because on Yom Kippur, what's the question? How we're going to make it? Are we going to make it or not going to make it? Is there going to be life or not life for the person? And the mindset of a Jew is to think positive. And that's the chayim. That's a sign of love. We should all be zocher to an amazing year, everything good. I want to wish everyone a beautiful day. Such a beautiful crowd on the screen and off the screen. All the best to everybody.
Thank you, Rabbi. Mazel tov for the wedding, Rabbi.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you so
I'll
much.
send you some. Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Great
Thank you
day.
very much. All the best, everybody. Have a great day.
You too, Rabbi. Bye-bye. Bye, Ish.
Thank you. Bye-bye. But it sounds like from the midrash they took like not a sword. Good morning, Stephen. They would walk around with some sort of, palm branch. Have a great day.
I don't know.
Take care, Jaime. Have a great day.